Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
Dozens of animals removed from a property in southwest Detroit. Police say birds were forced to fight for sport. Priya.
For many of us, Black Lives Matter is sparking meaningful discussions not only at home but at work. Tonight, the owner of Holiday Market is sharing his experience, hoping it becomes a teachable moment.
When it comes to getting tested for COVID-19, timing matters. Tonight, what everyone should know about when your test is likely to be most accurate.
So a lot to get to, but we need to start off things here at 6 with the threat of severe weather overnight and into tomorrow.
And you know Ben is concerned because he's using terms like the rough stuff,
Yeah.
Ben?
Well, yeah, that's a good way to describe it, Kim. And we expect tomorrow afternoon's round to be the strongest and could be pretty widespread. The stuff tonight should be on the very low end of a possibility, but 4 Live radar is showing that we have activity in the state right now. We already have a warning that's been posted east of Kalamazoo. You can see that cell that's been moving off to the north from northern parts of Indiana and Ohio. As that continues to move to the north, all that activity that's over southern portions of Michigan, if we could take a look at 4 Live radar, you can see that that activity is really starting to fall apart as it moves into very dry air on top of us. So nevertheless, as the core of Cristobal, which is really going to be the impetus for this tonight, that severe risk is marginal. It's the lowest on the scale tonight. And generally, we're looking from about 10 p.m. tonight to 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. We get a break during the morning hours, and then tomorrow afternoon into the evening, we are in the Category 3 risk. That's enhanced, and that could be some pretty significant severe weather in the second half of tomorrow, damaging winds and the possibility of tornadoes, especially tomorrow, guys. That is what we are watching. Stay on top of that tonight and tomorrow with the Local Forecasters app. It's got interactive radar, all the severe weather alerts, everything you'll need in the palm of your hand. Download it for free in your app store by searching WDIV. Kim and Devin.
Back to Ben here soon with the threat of storms overnight. Brandon Paul and the Local 4 News Today team will be watching for any potential damage, power outages. If those should occur, be sure to wake up with them starting at 4:30 a.m.
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Today, friends, family, and dignitaries gathered in Houston to say their final goodbyes to George Floyd. Family members dressed in white, one by one, took turns viewing his body. Floyd was killed back on May 25th in Minneapolis while in police custody. Family members continue to cope with what happened that day.
Yell, please, please, I can't breathe. I stopped wearing ties. I didn't want to wear a tie no more because I wanted to be able to breathe. I went to memorials, no tie. I could have had one on, but right now, I want justice for my brother.
Floyd will be buried at Houston Memorial Gardens next to his mother. And as expected on such an important day, protesters have gathered for a 12th straight day in Detroit to honor George Floyd and condemn racial injustice.
We get back to Jason Colthorpe, who's live, standing by where the protests are occurring. They don't seem to be deterred too much by today's heat so far, but Jason, things are getting heated.
Yes, as we told you at 5, this kind of began with some heated face-to-face arguments as the co-organizers here wanted to address the crowd and talk to them about their meeting with Mayor Mike Duggan and the chief of police earlier today. They wanted to tell them what came out of it. Long story short, they basically agreed to have another meeting down the road. But some other activists from this movement that have organized other protests elsewhere in Michigan kind of got in the mix here and said they didn't like that they'd been shut out of that meeting. They addressed the crowd. That didn't go over all that well, but they're gone now. This crowd, by the way, a little bit smaller than what we've seen in days past. They're going to march here in a few moments, and we'll be following it and have a full report for you tonight at 11. We're downtown. Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
All right, Jason. The Black Lives Matter movement is sparking conversations about race across the country, including in the corporate world.
The owner of Holiday Market in Royal Oak is talking to Local 4 about a controversial Facebook post that has since been deleted. Priya Mann has a story.
There were two Facebook posts. The first was in response to false rumors that workers were being fired for wearing Black Lives Matter messages. The second post included an apology. It's a conversation that happened between those posts that could become a teachable moment.
The first post was mostly to define what really happened, and the second post defined who we are.
Tom Violante isn't mincing words.
I think that you have to be vulnerable. You have to develop empathy. You have to want to say, I want to understand this and I want to become better.
Last week, 2 employees wore signs that said Black Lives Matter and I can't breathe.
The first instance happened and I was there and I said, let them have it. No problem. The second incident happened when I wasn't there and someone was trying to follow our policy.
As rumors spread that the workers were fired, Tom wrote a lengthy post on Facebook. He said the reason we do not allow messaging on our uniform is eventually we get into the business of determining which message is good or bad. After facing backlash online, Tom started listening and spoke to the white and Latino employees who had worn signs.
I had the opportunity to talk to these individuals and learn that this is a movement that's way beyond our policy and it represents who we are.
In his second post, Tom said Holiday Market stands firmly in the truth that Black Lives Matter. It's very clear I missed the mark on my Facebook post.
The approach was just heartless. It was all about, like you said, corporate speak and protection. Absolutely. I apologized in my post.
He's hoping others, especially in the corporate world, are willing to have these conversations.
I don't regret all that happening though, because a lot of really good dialogue, all that at my expense happened, but that dialogue did happen and I think that was powerful and far greater than whatever damage happened to Holiday Market and myself personally.
In Royal Oak, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
All right, Priya, it's worth pointing out here, no Holiday Market workers were fired.
And we're told Tom has ordered a large quantity of pens saying Black Lives Matter and enough is enough for workers to wear if they choose to. He also says he's made a $2,500 donation to the Equal Justice Initiative.
A raid at a suspected animal fighting operation leads to the removal of around 80 birds. Local 4 Defender cameras were there as Detroit Police and the Michigan Humane Society served the warrant in southwest Detroit. Defender Sean Lay with more on what they found.
The Local 4 Defenders with the Michigan Humane Society on the scene of a blood sport investigation. We're talking about cockfighting and a cockfighting ring. Evidence of that found right here. It's cultural, but it is illegal, and there is a message here today.
We are here today investigating what we believe is suspected cockfighting.
Local 4 Defender cameras on Thaddeus in southwest Detroit. The Michigan Humane Society, along with Detroit Police, serving a search warrant. They got a tip that behind this home is a suspected cockfighting breeding and training center. 80 birds were removed, some already dead. The key sign, rooster spurs were removed, so they can be replaced by a knife attached to the bird's foot.
It's an extremely brutal, gruesome, torturing sport. And cockfights are very short and they're fighting till the death. It is cultural and that's what we see and that's the defense that we often get. However, if you're going to live here in the state of Michigan, you must understand that it is a 4-year felony. You know, as much as it may be cultural, it's your responsibility to understand that that is not legal here, it's not acceptable here, and we're not going to tolerate it here.
At the end of the day, we're talking about a 4-year felony. No arrests, but the Humane Society says they know who they're looking for. They are confident they will pick that person up soon. In southwest Detroit, Sean Lay, Local 4 Defenders.
All right, Sean. Michigan has lost another 25 people to the coronavirus. The state reporting 108 new cases and more than 59,100 people have now been infected. Nearly 5,700 of those people have died. Health officials continue to emphasize the need for accurate testing to identify people infected by COVID-19, but research is calling into question the accuracy of some tests. Dr. Frank McGeorge is here with a concern and when they're most likely to be accurate. Doc?
Well, Kim, imagine getting a test for COVID-19 because you work at a job where you come in contact with lots of people, or maybe you're going to be visiting your elderly grandmother in her nursing home, and then you're told the test is negative. You feel like you're good to go, right? Well, according to recent studies, it could be falsely negative around 20% of the time.
Two recent papers are highlighting a need to re-examine the accuracy of the nasal swab PCR tests that we use to identify active infection with COVID-19. The most recent one, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, is specifically calling on the FDA to better highlight the problem and provide clearer prediction rules that factor in this inaccuracy. Meanwhile, another paper, published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, that looked at published information from 7 other studies with over 1,300 patients, found COVID-19 tests may tell a person they aren't infected when they really are, an average of 1 out of 5 times. Interestingly, they found the timing of the test relative to when a person was infected played a significant role in how sensitive the test was. On the first day of infection after exposure, the false negative rate was 100%. None of the tests were correctly positive. By day 4, the number decreased to 67% of tests incorrectly identifying a person as negative. On the average day of first symptoms, day 5, the tests did better, 38% false negatives. And it wasn't until the 8th day that the false negative rate reached its low of 20%. After that, the false negative rate increased again from 21% on day 9 to 66% on day 21.
Now, since the beginning of the spread here in Michigan, I have definitely seen plenty of people that initially tested negative only to turn up positive on retesting. So the bottom line is that when we interpret a negative test, there are many different considerations, from the timing of the sample to the quality of the sample to the pre-test risk that someone might have.
Yeah, well, talking about testing, Doc, and relative to current events and the concern people might have been infected at these protests that we're seeing, is there a best time to maybe get tested?
Well, you know, the data clearly doesn't support getting tested the very next day. Based on this report, isolating yourself for a few days and then getting tested around day 5 to 8 is probably a lot closer to optimal.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, thank you, Doc.
All right, let's get now to a Local 4 News update. The future of the Romeo Rock seems to be up in the air. The owners of the land on which it sits are looking to move it to another location. Last night, someone with a backhoe tried to remove it. The rock has been under the watchful eye of a group of locals. It comes after this weekend's back and forth between people spray painting Black Lives Matter and then others replacing it with a racist message. The Washington Township Supervisor says a new location for the rock could be finalized by the end of the week.
New at 6.
I'm Victor Williams, and we're looking at a petition that's been signed thousands of times to have one statue that's historically been in the city of Monroe for years removed. That story coming up.